The Human Rights Association of Nigeria says following a series of controversial decisions emanating from the Apex Judicial Forum, the Supreme Court of Nigeria is swimming and stemming hot troubled waters. Now, during the press briefing with journalists in Abuja, the rights group urged the Supreme Court of Nigeria to seize the opportunity of the case on People's Democratic Party primary for the candidates of the 2023 House of Representatives slot for Ado Opoku Ogbadido Federal Constituency as a litmus test. This is coming after Supreme Court on Thursday in Abuja fixed February 22 for final judgment in a legal battle by staff of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Aida Nat Ugochi, for a House of Representative ticket of the PDP in Benue Federal Constituency.
So there is a matter between a former journalist, Francis Abo, versus a lady, Aida Ogoche, who is said to be a staff of is a civil servant who never resigned from her office, but went ahead to contest for the PDP primary in Ado Opoku Ogbadibo Federal Constituency. And the PDP in that part of the country, in Benue State, somehow manipulated the process and nominated her as a candidate of the party, thereby denying the candidate of that party, who is the incumbent Federal House of Representatives member and a journalist, a very senior journalist for that matter, from seeking re-election. This gentleman, Francis Abo, proceeded to the Federal High Court in Makurdi to contest the fact of the illegality in the contest by the other candidate who was returned nominated, because the claim is that she is still a civil servant as at the time the primary was held. Funny enough, the Federal High Court in Makurdi gave a very ludicrous judgment, affirming the lady, Aida Ogje, as a candidate of the PDP. And the court did not even give consideration to the constitutional provision that makes it mandatory that civil servants ought not to run for political offices if they hadn't resigned. The gentleman who is a current legislature representing that constituency, Francis Abo, proceeded to the appeal court, and the appeal court, in a very well-considered judgment, relying on the provision of the Constitution banning serving civil servants from contesting political offices, now overruled the Federal High Court's verdict and pronounced Honorable Francis Abo as the rightfully elected candidate of the PDP in this month's election.
Emmanuel Obiko, National Coordinator, HURIWA, lending his voice to the new order given by President Buhari, which overrules that of the Supreme Court, says the Apex Court exposed itself to ridicule.
That order on the old and new Naira notes by the Supreme Court is not being obeyed. And to add salt to injury, I think that is how they describe it in English, the president of the country acted like a military dictator by giving a national broadcast in which he overruled the Supreme Court and said the 200 Naira notes is going to continue to be valid till April, whatever, but the 500 Naira note and the 1,000 Naira note is no longer legal tenders, thereby overruling what the Supreme Court ordered. And if you know, constitutionally, Nigeria operates on the principle of checks and balances, and there are three arms of government: judiciary, legislature, and the parliament. But this time around, the executive has taken over the responsibility of the judiciary by not respecting the order that is in place. The reason for this is because the Supreme Court has exposed itself to ridicule. I want to give you an instance. We were just told by the former governor of Cross River State that those judges who produced Supreme Court governor for Imo State, there were some judges, including, I think the current Chief Justice of Nigeria, if I'm not mistaken, is part of that panel that gave a judgment promoting the man who came fourth in an election in 2019 to the position of first, thereby displacing the winner of that election in 2019 and imposing a Supreme Court governor on Imo State, which is the cause of the crisis we have in Imo State now. All these killings happening is because of unfair judgment from the Supreme Court.
The Human Rights Writers Association of Nigeria say they anticipate the final judgment of the Apex Court as a measure to redeem Waning image of the Supreme Court of Nigeria.